Woman I never met sued me for college money my ex-husband's parents gave me as a gift 8 years ago, claiming I manipulated the family. She called my workplace to get me fired and filed false police reports against me, but police discovered shocking truth about her. I, 32F, got divorced from my ex-husband Levi, 34M, about 5 years ago. We were married for 8 years before that. The divorce was clean. No kids. No drama. We just wanted different things. He stayed in our hometown called Richmond and I moved 4 hours away to Norfolk for work. We haven't spoken since the divorce was finalized except for one text exchange when he got remarried 2 years ago. I congratulated him. He thanked me. That was it. 3 weeks ago, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I was at my desk at work going through spreadsheets when my phone buzzed. I picked up because sometimes clients call from different numbers. A woman's voice came through the speaker before I could even say hello. She told me her name was Vanessa and that she was Levi's wife. She said she needed to discuss a financial matter with me. I asked her what she meant. She said that when Levi and I were married, his parents gave me money for college. She said the money was supposed to be for their family and that I took it when I left. She said I owed them $75,000. I sat there staring at my computer screen. The call came out of nowhere. I hadn't thought about that money in years. When Levi and I were 21 and still in community college, his parents invited us over for dinner. His mom Finley and his dad Ethan lived in a big house on the edge of town. Ethan owned a construction company that did commercial projects all over the county. They had money but they never made a big show of it. That night after dinner, Finley brought out coffee and Ethan pushed an envelope across the table toward me. He said they wanted to help me finish my degree at the state university. I had been working 2 jobs to pay for community college while Levi worked for his dad's company. Ethan said education was important and that they wanted to invest in my future. The check inside was for $75,000. It covered the rest of my bachelor's degree and most of my master's program. I cried at the table. My own mom worked 3 jobs my whole childhood just to keep the lights on. Nobody had ever given me anything like that. Finley hugged me and said I was family. Levi smiled and squeezed my hand. I deposited the check the next week and enrolled full-time at the state school. I graduated 4 years later with my master's in business administration. No loans. No debt. Back to the phone call. Vanessa said that money should have stayed in the family. She said when Levi and I got divorced, I should have paid it back. She said her children with Levi would never see that money now and that it wasn't fair. She said I had 30 days to come up with the full amount plus interest or she would take legal action. I told her the money was a gift. She said she didn't care what I called it. She said it was meant for Levi's future and I stole it. Then she hung up. I sat at my desk for an hour after that call. I didn't move. My coworker asked if I was okay and I said I needed to make a phone call. I went outside to the parking lot and called Levi. We hadn't spoken in 5 years. He answered on the 4th ring. His voice sounded the same. I told him about the call. There was silence on the other end. I asked if he knew about it. He said no. He said he would call me back. 6 hours went by. I went home and made dinner. I tried to watch a show but kept checking my phone. Finally at almost 11 at night he called back. He said he talked to Vanessa. He said she was upset about something his parents said a few months ago. He said Vanessa had asked his parents for money toward a down payment on a bigger house. His parents said they couldn't help with that right now. Vanessa brought up the $75,000 they gave me. She said it wasn't fair that I got that money and she was getting nothing. His parents said that was different because it was for education and it was a long time ago. Levi said Vanessa had been bringing it up ever since. He said she started talking about how I was the reason they couldn't afford a bigger house. He said she kept saying I manipulated his parents. He said he told her that wasn't true but she wouldn't listen. He said he didn't know she was going to call me. I asked him if he thought I owed the money back. He took a long time to answer. Then he said no. He said his parents gave me that money as a gift. He said they never expected it back. He said he was sorry Vanessa called me and that he would handle it. 2 days later Vanessa called again. This time she was screaming. She said I called her husband behind her back. She said I was trying to ruin her marriage. She said she was going to file a harassment complaint against me. She said her lawyer was already drafting papers. Then she said I was a gold digger who tricked Levi's family and that everyone in Richmond knew what kind of person I was. I hung up. My hands were shaking. I blocked her number. Then I called Levi again. This time he didn't answer. He texted me an hour later. The text said he needed space to deal with things at home and could I please not contact him for a while. I drove to Richmond that weekend. I hadn't been back since the divorce. The town looked exactly the same. I went to Finley and Ethan's house. Finley answered the door. Her face went pale when she saw me. She asked if everything was okay. I told her about the phone calls. She let me in and made tea. Ethan came in from the garage. They both sat across from me at the same kitchen table where they gave me that check all those years ago. Finley said Vanessa had been causing problems for months. She said Vanessa asked them for money 3 different times this year. She said they offered to help with smaller things like car repairs, but Vanessa wanted a lump sum for a house down payment. Ethan said Vanessa brought up my college money every time they said no. He said she told them they played favorites. He said she accused them of loving me more than her. Finley said they tried to explain that the situations were different, but Vanessa wouldn't accept it. She said Vanessa told Levi that his parents would never help them build a real life together because they wasted all their money on me. I asked if Levi believed that. Finley looked down at her tea. She said Levi was caught in the middle. She said he defended his parents at first, but Vanessa kept pushing. She said the arguments at their house got worse. Ethan said he heard Vanessa shouting at Levi through the phone one night when Levi called to talk. I drove back to Norfolk that same day. I didn't try to see Levi. I figured he had enough going on. I thought maybe Vanessa would calm down after a few weeks. I thought maybe Levi would talk sense into her. I was wrong. Update 1: The situation got worse. A lot worse. 4 days after I drove to Richmond, I got a letter at my apartment. It was from a law office in Richmond. The letter said I was being sued for $75,000 plus 8 years of interest. The letter listed something called unjust enrichment as the legal reason. It said I accepted money intended for Levi's family and failed to return it after the divorce ended my connection to that family. I took the letter to a lawyer here in Norfolk. Her name was Catherine. She does family law. She read the letter and then read it again. She asked me questions about the money. She asked if there was any paperwork. She asked if the check had any conditions written on it. I said no. She asked if Ethan and Finley ever asked for the money back. I said no. She asked if there was any written agreement that I would pay them back. I said no. She said the case had no merit. She said a gift is a gift under the law. She said there was something called the statute of limitations, which meant they waited too long to ask for money back even if they had a case. She said the most likely outcome was the case getting dismissed. She said I shouldn't worry, but I should respond to the letter through her office. Catherine sent a response. 2 weeks went by. Then I got a call at work. It was from my manager. She asked me to come to her office. When I got there, she had a strange look on her face. She said someone claiming to be a lawyer called the main office line. She said this person asked to verify my employment. She said the person also mentioned a lawsuit and asked if the company knew they employed someone who stole money from family members. My face got hot. I explained the situation. My manager listened and then said she believed me. She said the call seemed strange anyway because real lawyers don't usually call employers like that. She said she wanted to give me a heads up in case anything else happened. I called Catherine as soon as I got back to my desk. She said what happened was inappropriate and possibly illegal. She said if we could prove Vanessa made that call, we might have a case for harassment or defamation. She said to document everything. That night Levi called me. It was the first time we spoke since his text asking for space. His voice sounded tired. He said Vanessa filed the lawsuit without telling him. He said he came home from work one day and she had papers spread all over the kitchen table. He said she told him she found a lawyer who would take the case. He said he asked her to drop it. He said they had a massive fight. He said she told him he was choosing his ex-wife over his current wife. She said if he didn't support her then their marriage was over. I asked him what he said to that. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said he didn't know what to do. He said Vanessa convinced herself that the money was stolen. He said she talked about it constantly. He said she made spreadsheets showing how much interest the money would have earned. He said she contacted his parents every few days asking them to back her up in court. I asked if his parents were backing her up. He said no. He said his parents told her they would testify against the lawsuit if it went to court. He said that made Vanessa even more angry. He said Vanessa stopped talking to his parents 3 weeks ago. Then Levi said something that made my stomach drop. He said Vanessa asked him to call me and offer a deal. He said Vanessa wanted me to pay back half the money. He said if I paid $37,000, she would drop the lawsuit. He said she told him this was a compromise and that I should be grateful. I asked him if he agreed with her. There was another long silence. Then he said he just wanted it to be over. He said his marriage was falling apart. He said Vanessa wouldn't sleep in the same room as him. He said she told her family that he was a failure as a husband. He said maybe if I paid something, even just a portion, then Vanessa would move on. I told him no. I said I wasn't paying anything. I said the money was a gift from his parents and the law backed that up. I said if his marriage was falling apart, it wasn't because of me. I said Vanessa needed help and that giving in to her demands wouldn't fix whatever was actually wrong. He got quiet again. Then he said he figured I would say that. He said he wasn't sure what to do next. Then he hung up. 2 days later Finley called me. She was crying. She said Levi moved back into their house. She said he packed a bag and left Vanessa. She said he told Vanessa he couldn't live like this anymore. Finley said Vanessa showed up at their house at midnight banging on the door. She said Vanessa screamed that they all betrayed her. She said Vanessa blamed me for destroying her marriage. Finley said the police came that night. She said Ethan called them when Vanessa wouldn't leave the property. She said Vanessa was still screaming when the police pulled up. Finley said the officers talked to Vanessa for 20 minutes in the driveway. She said they finally convinced her to leave. She said Levi looked destroyed. I asked Finley how Levi was doing now. She said he wasn't talking much. She said he went to work and came home and sat in his old bedroom. She said he told her he made a mistake marrying Vanessa. She said he told her that Vanessa hid a lot of things from him before the wedding. I asked what things. Finley said she didn't know all the details. She said Levi mentioned money problems. She said something about credit cards. That was 6 weeks ago. The lawsuit is still active. Catherine said it would take time to get it dismissed. She said courts move slowly. Levi stopped calling me. Finley texted me once to say Levi was doing okay but needed time. I haven't heard from Vanessa since Levi left her. Update 2 things took a turn I didn't expect. 3 months after Levi moved out, I got a message on social media. It was from someone named Bryn. She said she was Vanessa's younger sister. She said she needed to talk to me about Vanessa. She said it was important. I didn't respond at first. I figured it was some kind of trap. But Bryn sent another message. She said she wasn't on Vanessa's side. She said their family was trying to help Vanessa but she wouldn't listen to anyone. She said she thought I deserved to know what was really going on. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop in Norfolk. Bryn drove up from Richmond on a Saturday. She was younger than I expected, maybe 25. She looked tired. She sat down across from me and didn't order anything. She said she only had an hour before she had to drive back. She told me Vanessa was in serious financial trouble. She said Vanessa got involved in a health supplement business 2 years ago. She said it was one of those companies where you sell products to friends and recruit other people to sell under you. She said Vanessa spent thousands of dollars on inventory that she couldn't sell. She said Vanessa took out credit cards to buy more inventory because the company kept telling her she just needed to invest more to succeed. Bryn said Vanessa hid all of this from Levi. She said Vanessa had 5 credit cards that Levi didn't know about. She said the total debt was close to $60,000. She said Vanessa was paying minimum payments on all of them and the interest was eating her alive. I asked why she was telling me this. Bryn said because Vanessa fixated on my college money as a way out. She said Vanessa convinced herself that if she could get that money back, she could pay off her debt and Levi would never have to know about it. Bryn said Vanessa didn't actually care about fairness or family money. She said Vanessa was desperate and I was the scapegoat. Bryn said their parents tried to help Vanessa with the debt but Vanessa refused. She said Vanessa told them she would figure it out herself. She said Vanessa became obsessed with the lawsuit. Bryn said Vanessa spent hours researching legal cases online. She said Vanessa filled notebooks with plans for how to get the money from me. Then Bryn said something that made my skin crawl. She said Vanessa had been following me online for over a year. She said Vanessa knew where I worked. She knew my boyfriend's name. She knew what car I drove. Bryn said she only found out about this when she went to Vanessa's apartment to check on her after Levi left. She said Vanessa had a folder on her computer with screenshots of my social media posts. She said there were notes about my daily routine. I felt sick. I asked Bryn why Vanessa would do that. Bryn said she didn't know. She said Vanessa was always competitive but this was different. She said Vanessa seemed to blame me for everything wrong in her life. Bryn said she came to tell me because she thought I should know. She said she was worried Vanessa might do something worse. After Bryn left, I called Catherine. I told her everything. Catherine said we needed to contact the police. She said what Bryn described sounded like stalking. She said the fact that Vanessa called my workplace and kept tabs on my life went beyond a frivolous lawsuit. I filed a report at the Norfolk police station that same day. An officer took my statement. I showed him the letters from the lawsuit. I told him about the call to my work. I told him what Bryn said about the folders and the notes. He wrote everything down. He said someone would follow up. A week later I got a call from a detective in Richmond. His name was Detective Santiago. He said he received my report from Norfolk. He said they had an interesting situation. He said Vanessa had also filed a police report in Richmond. She reported me for harassment and stalking. My stomach dropped. Detective Santiago said he wanted to talk to me about it. He asked if I would be willing to come to Richmond. I said yes. I drove there the next day with Catherine. At the police station, Detective Santiago explained that Vanessa filed her report 2 days before I filed mine. Vanessa claimed I was calling her repeatedly from blocked numbers. She claimed I drove by her apartment multiple times. She claimed I contacted her family members to harass her. She said she was afraid of me. I told Detective Santiago that none of that was true. I showed him my phone records. I showed him that I blocked Vanessa's number after the second call. Catherine presented a timeline of everything that happened. She showed the detective the letter from the lawyer. She showed him documentation of the call to my workplace. Detective Santiago listened to everything. Then he said something interesting. He said Vanessa's story didn't match the evidence. He said her phone records showed she called me multiple times, not the other way around. He said there was no evidence I ever drove to Richmond except for the one visit to Levi's parents' house. He said Vanessa's own sister Bryn had contacted them with concerns about Vanessa's behavior. He said he was closing Vanessa's report as unfounded. He said he was opening an investigation into Vanessa instead. He said the false police report alone was a crime. He said if we wanted to pursue charges for harassment and stalking, his department would support that. Catherine and I talked about it on the drive back. She said filing charges would make everything more complicated. She said it would extend the conflict. But she also said Vanessa needed to face consequences or this would never stop. I told her to move forward with charges. Levi called me that night. He said the police came to his parents' house looking for Vanessa's current address. He said they told him about the investigation. He said he didn't know Vanessa filed a false report against me. He said he was starting to realize how much Vanessa had been lying to him. He said he went to their apartment to get some of his things. Vanessa wasn't there. He packed boxes in their bedroom and found notebooks under the bed. He said he opened one and saw my name written on every page. He said there were printouts of my social media posts. He said there were notes about my work schedule and my boyfriend's car. He said one page had directions to my apartment building in Norfolk. His voice cracked when he told me this. He said he felt like he never really knew who he married. He said Vanessa had been planning this campaign against me for months, maybe longer. He said he wished he had seen it earlier. I didn't know what to say to him. We sat in silence on the phone for a while. Then he said he was filing for divorce. He said he couldn't trust Vanessa anymore. He said he was scared of what she might do next. Then he apologized for everything and hung up. Final update: the case wrapped up faster than I expected. The district attorney in Richmond filed charges against Vanessa. She was charged with filing a false police report and criminal harassment. The stalking charges didn't stick because the prosecutor said they were hard to prove beyond reasonable doubt, but the other charges moved forward. Vanessa pleaded guilty to the false police report. She got a suspended sentence and probation. She also had to pay a fine. The criminal harassment charge was dropped as part of the plea deal. The condition of her probation included staying away from me, Levi, and his parents. The judge issued a restraining order that would last 2 years. The lawsuit got dismissed around the same time. Catherine filed a motion with all the evidence of Vanessa's behavior. The judge reviewed it and threw out the case. The judge also ordered Vanessa to pay my legal fees. Catherine said I probably wouldn't see that money anytime soon given Vanessa's financial situation, but at least it was on record. Levi's divorce was finalized last month. He said it was the easiest part of everything because Vanessa didn't contest anything. She signed the papers without asking for anything. Levi said she moved to another town about an hour away from Richmond. He said he heard from Bryn that Vanessa was living with their parents and working at a retail store. Finley called me a few weeks ago. She said Levi was doing better. She said he sold the apartment he shared with Vanessa and bought a small house in Richmond near the river. She said he was going to therapy. She said he told her he needed to figure out why he ignored so many red flags with Vanessa. Finley said she and Ethan were proud of how he was handling everything. Finley also said she and Ethan wanted to make sure I was okay. She said they felt terrible about what happened. She said they never imagined their gift would cause so much trouble. I told her it wasn't their fault. I told her the gift changed my life and I would always be grateful for it. I haven't heard from Vanessa since the restraining order was put in place. My boyfriend installed a doorbell camera at my apartment just in case. I changed my social media to private. I check my surroundings more than I used to. But mostly life has gone back to normal. Sometimes I think about how this all started with a simple phone call. I think about how someone I never really knew decided I was the reason for all her problems. I think about how far she was willing to go based on something that wasn't even true. The legal fees cost me about $8,000 even with the judge's order for Vanessa to pay them back. My employer was understanding but the whole situation was embarrassing. I had to explain to coworkers why someone called pretending to be a lawyer. My boyfriend said he would help with the legal costs but I didn't want him involved in that mess. Levi texted me last week. He said he was thinking about moving to Norfolk for a fresh start. He said there was a branch of his dad's construction company here and they could use someone with his experience. He said he wasn't asking to reconnect or be friends. He just wanted me to know in case we ran into each other around town. I told him Norfolk was a big city and he should do what was best for him. I didn't hear back after that. I still have the thank you card I wrote to Finley and Ethan after they gave me that check. I found it in a box when I moved to Norfolk. I kept it because it reminded me that some people do kind things without expecting anything back. I look at it sometimes when I need to remember that most people are decent. The whole situation taught me that you can't control how other people see you. Vanessa built an entire story in her head about who I was and what I did. None of it was based on reality. She needed someone to blame for her problems and I was convenient. No amount of explaining or defending myself would have changed her mind. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad there are legal orders in place to keep her away. I'm glad Levi finally saw who she really was. But I'm also tired. The whole thing took up almost a year of my life. It cost me money and stress and peace of mind. I just want to move forward and not think about it anymore. Now let's move to the next story. Story 2: I hired an escort for my best friend's wedding, but now she won't stop calling. When she started hanging out with me for free, I was confused. When I asked, she said you were the only one who treated me like a person. I'm Dave, 29M. I've been single for almost 7 years now, and honestly, I prefer it that way. My job takes a lot of my time and energy, and at the end of the day, I just want to be alone. I'm not the type who needs someone else around all the time. When I meet new people, I'm pretty reserved until I get to know them well. Some people call it being cold, but that's just how I am. My family doesn't understand this. Every time we get together for holidays or birthdays, they ask about my dating life. My younger brother Mark, 27M, got married 3 years ago and already has 2 kids. My parents love bringing this up whenever they can. It's the same with my friends. They think there's something wrong with me because I don't date. Last month, my best friend since middle school, Jake, 29M, got married. I was his best man. 2 months before the wedding, Jake told me he wanted to set me up with one of his fiancée's friends for the wedding. I recognized her name immediately. They had tried to set me up with her before, and I had said no. I don't want to be set up with anyone, especially not someone they've already tried to match me with. Jake wouldn't drop it. He kept saying how I needed to bring someone to the wedding. He thought it would look weird if I showed up alone as the best man. I told him I would figure something out. I knew if I went alone, I'd face questions from everyone there about why I was single. I needed a simple solution. That's when I had the idea to hire an escort. I just needed someone to accompany me for the weekend, nothing more. I found an agency online with good reviews and made the arrangements. I was clear about what I wanted, just someone to attend a wedding with me, no other services. The escort they matched me with called herself Nina, 27F. When I met her the day before the wedding for coffee to go over our plan, I was surprised. She was gorgeous, taller than me, I'm 5 feet 7 inches, and she was about 5 feet 9 inches in heels, and had this bubbly personality that was the complete opposite of mine. We came up with a story about how we met. She was a friend from my classic car restoration group. I do actually restore classic cars, so I could talk about it naturally if anyone asked. The wedding weekend went better than expected. Nina was professional and fit in perfectly. She chatted with my friends and family, danced at the reception, and everyone seemed to like her. We made small talk with the other guests, and no one suspected anything. At the end of the wedding, I paid her the agreed amount plus a good tip because she had done a great job. We said goodbye, and I thought that was the end of it. About 3 weeks later, Nina texted me. She asked what I was doing that weekend. I was surprised to hear from her but told her I was going on a mountain road drive with my car club. These are casual drives on scenic routes that we do once a month. She asked if she could come along. I was confused. I made it clear that I wasn't looking to hire an escort for a car club event. Nina quickly explained that she wasn't asking to be hired, she wanted to come along for free, just for fun. This didn't make sense to me. Why would she want to hang out without being paid? But I found myself saying yes anyway. The drive went well. Nina seemed genuinely interested in the cars and got along with the other members. She even knew some things about engines that surprised me. When the drive was over, I expected us to part ways again, but she asked for my number so we could stay in touch. Since then, Nina has been texting me regularly. She calls in the evenings just to talk. We've gone to movies, gotten dinner, and even just hung out at my place watching TV. She's come to 3 more car club events. All of this happened without me paying her anything. I don't understand what's going on. Is this some tactic escorts use to keep clients coming back? Is she in some kind of trouble and needs help but doesn't want to ask directly? I can't imagine she actually likes spending time with me. I'm not the most exciting person, and I'm shorter than her. We're total opposites in terms of personality. My job actually made me start seeing a therapist back in February. I lost 2 colleagues in a car accident in January, and my boss noticed I was back to normal the very next day. He thought this wasn't healthy, so he signed me up for therapy through the company. I go twice a month during work hours. I don't really believe in therapy, and I told the therapist this in our first session. Most sessions are just him asking basic questions, and me giving short answers. Last week, I mentioned the situation with Nina to my therapist. He suggested that maybe Nina actually likes me romantically. I laughed it off. There's no way someone like her would be interested in someone like me. She's outgoing and beautiful, while I'm quiet and average looking at best. So I dismissed that idea completely. For those wondering why I didn't just go to the wedding alone, Jake really wanted me to bring someone. The alternative was being set up with someone I already turned down once, which would have been awkward. As for the car club, it's just a group of regular people who like working on cars. Nothing fancy or indicating wealth. And about the height thing, I'm not insecure about it, just stating facts. Most couples I see have the guy being taller than the girl. So what's going on here? Why would an escort want to spend time with a client for free? I'm genuinely confused about her motives and what I should do next. Update 1. Thanks to everyone who responded to my original post. Many of you suggested Nina might actually like me, while others warned me to be careful about potential scams or hidden motives. I decided to take some time to think about the situation more carefully. First, I should clarify a few things based on your comments. I'm not rich, just middle class with a steady job. I don't have some secret wealth that Nina might be after. My car hobby isn't expensive either. I work on older, affordable models and do most of the work myself. About my personality, I'm cautious around new people because of something that happened years ago. I don't like showing vulnerability, especially around people I don't know well. Only Jake has seen that side of me. This doesn't mean I'm rude or completely emotionless, I just keep things surface level with most people. Some of you suggested I might be aromantic. I've never thought about that before, but it's possible. I dated in college because that's what everyone did, but I never enjoyed the whole process. I stopped dating at 23 because I realized I was doing it to meet others' expectations, not because I wanted to. Over the past 2 weeks, Nina and I have continued hanging out. During one of our conversations, I finally asked her about her work. She told me she hadn't worked as an escort since December, almost 8 months ago. She started escorting during the pandemic after losing her waitressing job. She needed money for nursing school and saw it as a temporary solution. Nina graduated from nursing school in December and now works as a pediatric nurse at the local children's hospital. When I asked why she took the job to accompany me to the wedding if she wasn't escorting anymore, she explained that the agency had called her about a simple weekend job with good pay, and she could use the extra money for a vacation she was planning. She also said she almost never slept with clients when she was escorting. She mostly provided companionship for events and dinners. I believe what she told me. It's her past, and it's not my business to judge. She didn't press me about my past when I mentioned I don't open up easily, so I extended her the same courtesy. After our conversation, I started paying more attention to our interactions without the escort label clouding my judgment. I realized several things I had missed. Over the past few months, we've been doing very everyday, couple-like activities, watching movies at my place, getting takeout food, even mini-golfing with my niece and nephew once. She always gives me a quick kiss on the cheek when we say goodbye, something that's been happening for at least a month now. I had assumed she was just being friendly, but now I'm not so sure. The more I thought about it, the more obvious it seemed. There was no professional or financial reason for her to spend time with me. She was choosing to do it. This past Friday, Nina came over to my place. We smoked some weed, nothing strong, just enough to relax, and decided to watch The Lion King. During the movie, right before the stampede scene, Nina got quiet. She moved closer and put her head on my shoulder. She pulled her blanket over both of us and stayed like that for the rest of the movie. When the credits started rolling, she didn't move away. Something clicked in my head, and I decided to take a chance. I turned slightly and kissed the top of her head. She looked up at me, smiled, and kissed me. One thing led to another, and we ended up spending the night together. The next morning, we had a long talk. Nina told me she had genuinely enjoyed the wedding weekend and didn't feel like she was working. That's why she reached out afterward. She wanted to see me again. She said her feelings developed gradually as we spent more time together. What surprised me most was when she mentioned specific things I did that she appreciated, giving her my jacket when it got cold during a car meet, opening doors for her, listening when she talked about her work. To me, these were just basic manners, but Nina explained that many men she met through escorting treated her as an object, not a person. She also revealed that when she worked as an escort, she lost several friends who judged her for it. Dating was nearly impossible because men either fetishized her job or couldn't handle her past. She felt isolated except for a few friends who were also escorts. When she finished nursing school and stopped escorting, she wanted to start fresh. She saw me as someone who had treated her with respect even when he was technically a client. That's why she wanted to keep seeing me. Nina said she feels calm around me. My quiet nature doesn't bother her, it actually balances her more energetic personality. She even likes that I'm shorter than her because previous boyfriends had made her feel self-conscious about her height. I told Nina that I liked her too, but warned her that I'm not good at relationships. My reserved nature and discomfort with vulnerability might make me difficult to be with. Nina dismissed my concerns immediately, calling me stupid for thinking that would push her away. We agreed that formally dating doesn't make sense since we've essentially been doing that for months already. So just like that, we became a couple. Update 2, the past 6 weeks with Nina have been a completely new experience for me. I'm still adjusting to being in a relationship after so many years of being alone, but things are going surprisingly well. The first big change is having someone regularly stay at my place. Nina sleeps over 3 or 4 nights a week, depending on our work schedules. She works 12-hour shifts at the children's hospital, while I have a more standard 9-to-5 job. Despite the scheduling challenges, we make it work. Nina is much more affectionate and expressive than anyone I've been with before. She's constantly seeking physical contact, holding my hand, hugging me from behind when I'm making coffee, or curling up next to me on the couch. At first, this was overwhelming, but I'm getting used to it. I even find myself reaching for her hand now without thinking about it. One morning, I woke up to find Nina ironing my shirt for an important meeting. She had also made coffee and packed me lunch. When I asked why she did all that, she just shrugged and said she wanted to. No one has ever done those kinds of things for me before. Another surprising development is how our social circles have merged. Last month, Nina introduced me to some of her friends from nursing school. Later, she also introduced me to two women who used to work as escorts with her. They were warm and welcoming, treating me like an old friend rather than a stranger. One of them told me they had been hearing about me for months and were happy Nina had finally made her move. I've introduced Nina to my family and friends as well. Their reaction was unexpected. They laughed and said they had assumed we were already dating when they met her at Jake's wedding. My mother even mentioned that Nina was the first woman I'd brought to a family dinner in years. Jake was particularly smug when I told him about Nina and me. He claimed he knew there was a connection at his wedding, though he obviously had no idea about our initial arrangement. I let him believe he had unintentionally played matchmaker. Not everything has been smooth sailing, though. Last week, Nina ran into a former client while we were shopping at the mall. The man approached her and made some inappropriate comments, clearly not realizing I was with her. Nina froze, and I could see she was uncomfortable. Before I could intervene, the man noticed me and asked Nina if I was a job too. I stepped between them and told him to leave. He laughed but eventually walked away. Nina was quiet for the rest of our shopping trip. Later that night, she broke down and told me she was worried this would keep happening, that her past would always find ways to disrupt our present. I assured her that I don't care about her past or what others think. I only care about who she is now. This seemed to help, but I know the incident shook her confidence in our relationship. Another challenge has been my own discomfort with emotional intimacy. Last week, Nina told me she loves me. I wasn't prepared for it and didn't know how to respond. Instead of saying anything, I just kissed her and changed the subject. I could tell she was disappointed, but she didn't push the issue. The next day, Nina told me she understands I'm not ready to say those words yet, and she doesn't want me to say them until I truly mean them. She's being patient with me, which I appreciate. Despite these challenges, our relationship continues to grow stronger. Nina has even started keeping some of her things at my place: clothes, toiletries, a spare phone charger. My apartment, which has always been my private space, is gradually becoming ours. Update 3. It's been 3 months since my last update, and I wanted to share how things have progressed with Nina and me. We've now been together for about 5 months total. 2 months ago, Nina's lease ended, and we decided she would move in with me. This was a big step for someone who valued his alone time as much as I did, but it felt right. We converted my home office into a dual-purpose room with space for her nursing books and continuing education materials. Living together has been an adjustment, but not in the ways I expected. The biggest challenge hasn't been lack of space or privacy, it's been learning to communicate better. Nina is direct about her needs and feelings, while I tend to keep things to myself until they become problems. Last month, this led to our first major argument. Nina had been working extra shifts covering for a colleague on maternity leave. She was exhausted but kept taking on more responsibilities at home too. I noticed but didn't say anything, thinking she would ask for help if she needed it. One evening, she snapped at me for not helping more. We had a tense conversation where she pointed out that she couldn't read my mind, and I needed to be more open about what I was thinking. She was right. I've spent so many years keeping people at a distance that I don't know how to let someone in completely. Nina has been teaching me how to express myself better, even when it's uncomfortable. We've developed a routine that works for us. On her days off, Nina often joins me at car restoration meetups. She's learned a lot about engines and bodywork, and the other members have accepted her as part of the group. On my free weekends, I sometimes accompany her to lunch with her nursing colleagues or her former escort friends, who have become some of the most genuine people I know. Speaking of friends, Jake and his wife had us over for dinner last week. They were surprised by how comfortable Nina and I are together. Jake pulled me aside and admitted he never thought he'd see me in a serious relationship. He joked that if he had known hiring an escort would lead to this, he would have suggested it years ago. If only he knew that was exactly what happened. My family has embraced Nina completely. My brother's kids adore her, and she's great with them. My parents have stopped making comments about my single status, though my mother occasionally drops hints about grandchildren. Nina handles these comments with grace, neither encouraging nor discouraging them. As for Nina's past, it rarely comes up now. We've run into former clients twice more, but Nina has become better at handling these encounters. She either ignores them completely or introduces me as her boyfriend without explanation or apology. Her confidence in these situations has grown considerably. The biggest development came 2 weeks ago. Nina and I were driving back from a weekend trip to the mountains when I pulled over at a scenic overlook. We sat on the hood of my car, watching the sunset. Without planning or overthinking it, I told Nina I loved her. The words came out naturally, without pressure or hesitation. Nina cried and said she loved me too, though she had known that for much longer. If someone had told me a year ago that hiring an escort for a wedding would lead to the most meaningful relationship of my life, I would have laughed. But here we are. Nina and I are different in many ways. She's outgoing while I'm reserved, she's emotional while I'm logical, but somehow, we balance each other. I'm still learning how to be a good partner, and I still have moments where I retreat into my shell. But Nina understands me better than anyone ever has, and she gives me space when I need it. In return, I'm learning to be more open and present for her. I don't know what the future holds for us, but for the first time in my adult life, I'm actually looking forward to finding out. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me to see what was right in front of me. You were right.